They say that not all ghosts remain silent. Some whisper, some scream, and some never stop tormenting the living. Deep in the hills of Tennessee, more than 2 centuries ago, a family became the target of one of the most chilling hauntings in American history. This was not a simple ghost story. This was the Bell Witch. The story begins in 1804, when John Bell and his family settled in the quiet town of Red River, Tennessee. They built a farm, raised their children, and quickly became respected members of the community. For a while, life seemed peaceful. But by the year 1817, the Bell household would become the center of a nightmare that no one could escape. It began with strange noises. At night, the Bells heard scratching sounds along the walls of their cabin, as if long nails were dragging across the wood. Sometimes it sounded like rats gnawing at the bedposts, other times like chains dragging across the floor. But no matter how many times John Bell searched, he found nothing. The animals were restless, the children frightened, but he dismissed it as nothing more than the sounds of an old house. Then the noises grew louder. Knocking, pounding, the sound of invisible fists slamming against the doors and walls. At night, the children would wake to the sound of blankets being pulled from their beds. Elizabeth Bell, known as Betsy, often cried out in terror as unseen hands slapped her face or yanked her hair. Soon, the entire family could no longer deny it. Something invisible was inside their home. The presence began to speak. At first it was a faint whisper, words no one could fully understand. But the voice grew clearer with each passing night. It sang hymns, quoted scripture, and mocked the family relentlessly. Soon, the voice identified itself as Kate. Some believed it was the spirit of Kate Batts, a neighbor who had quarreled with John Bell over a land dispute. Whether that was true or not, the entity became known as the Bell Witch. Unlike most hauntings, this one did not confine itself to whispers or fleeting shadows. The Bell Witch spoke clearly, laughed, and conversed with visitors. Neighbors came to the Bell home to witness it themselves. And to their horror, the voice would greet them by name, reveal secrets about their lives, and recite sermons being given in churches miles away at that very moment. As the haunting grew more violent, Betsy Bell became the witch's favorite target. She was pinched, scratched, beaten, and left with welts and bruises no human hand had caused. The witch tormented her relentlessly, especially when Betsy became engaged to a young man named Joshua Gardner. Each time the couple tried to meet, the witch would shriek and curse, screaming that Betsy must never marry him. Eventually, under the endless torment, Betsy broke off the engagement. But the witch's true hatred was reserved for John Bell himself. She cursed him, calling him Old Jack, and vowed to kill him. Over the years, John's health declined. He suffered strange seizures, his tongue swelling so badly he could barely speak. On December 20, 1820, John Bell was found in his bed, barely alive. Beside him was a small vial of black liquid. No one knew where it had come from. When a drop was placed on the tongue of the family cat, the animal convulsed and died instantly. The witch's voice rang through the house, laughing, declaring, "I gave Old Jack a dose of that last night, and he will never get up again." John Bell died the next day. Even after his death, the witch did not leave. During his funeral, as neighbors gathered in grief, the voice filled the air, singing loudly, mocking the ceremony. Many fled in terror. The Bells had lost their patriarch, and yet their torment was not over. For years, the witch came and went. Sometimes it disappeared for months, even years, only to return again with renewed strength. In 1821, after tormenting the family for so long, the witch declared it would leave, but promised to return in 7 years. And it did. In 1828, the entity reappeared, visiting John Bell Jr. It spoke with him for weeks, predicting events that would unfold decades later, some of which came true with eerie accuracy. Then, it vanished once more. But the story of the bell witch has never truly died. Even today, in Adams, Tennessee, the legend lingers. The Bell Witch Cave, located on the property once owned by the Bells, is said to be haunted still. Visitors report hearing whispers in the dark tunnels, seeing shadows move where no one should be, and feeling hands brush against their skin. Some refuse to enter, claiming the air itself feels alive, watching, waiting. Historians debate whether the Bell Witch was a true haunting, a case of mass hysteria, or a carefully crafted story passed down through generations. But those who have walked the land, stood in the cave, or felt the oppressive silence of the Bell property swear that something remains. The tale of the Bell Witch is not just a ghost story. It is a warning. Because unlike other spirits, this one spoke, laughed, and cursed with a voice that carried across time. And to this day, many say that if you stand in the darkness of the cave and call her name, the witch might still answer. So the next time you hear a faint knock in the silence of your home, or a whisper when no one is near, ask yourself, is it only your imagination? Or could it be the Bell Witch, searching for her next voice to torment? This was another secret, hidden inside the Fright Files. The question remains, will you dare to open the next one?